This episode contains themes of sexual violence. Please take care while listening. It's Thanksgiving, 1977. You're 6 years old, and as you're watching your mom prepare dinner, some strangers come into your modest house in a small town in Arkansas. They don't even knock, though. You look around, confused.
It was like, who is that? That's your sister. And I look just like them. Just like them. I'm the baby of 12 children. 12. 1, 2. 12 kids.
8 years separates you from the next sibling, and the oldest has nearly 3 decades on you.
Old enough to be my dad, of course, and then there's little old me. So by the time I can remember, it was only like 3 or 4 of us at home, right? They're so spaced out. They were all gone. They were adults. And you know what's so funny? My mom was pregnant at the same time 2 of my sisters were pregnant. So I have nephews that I'm the same age or a year older than them.
Outside the house, there was a sign.
On the doors, it had "Be all you can be."
Little Sonja, now Dr. Sonja Stribling, was drawn to that message and always knew it would play a role in her life, even when it seemed like everything was trying to stop her from reaching that full potential.
It's not just my military experience, it's what is your battlefield? My battlefield was my young adulthood.
She says she was able to become a multi-million-dollar business mastermind, not in spite of her life experiences, like being a teen mom and a war veteran, but rather because of them. Today on the Gratitudeology podcast.
Will you walk through the fire? Would you ride through the storm? Will you walk on a wire? Will you save me if I fall? Will you break through the madness? Set us down where we're safe. I'll be right here waiting till you find me again.
Dr. Sonja Stribling, an entrepreneur, leader, and coaching mogul, sat down with me following her speech at Aspire, the Entrepreneurial Summit that goes from city to city. She was on that stage right in between David Goggins and Hulk Hogan, by the way. That's how she's thought of in these entrepreneurial circles. After she worked her magic inspiring a sold-out 4,000 deep crowd to power up their lives, she took off her blazer to reveal arms that are up there with Michelle Obama's. This woman emanates strength. And at the same time, she has this warm, inviting energy.
I've worked on that over the years, 21 years military.
Yes.
So I'm so accustomed to being up front, very direct. But I also realized that I had to bring some femininity in with that masculinity and merge. And that's where I think that is the secret sauce that I've been able to put together. And it works very well for me because I realize sometimes I can be rough around the edges, which is fine, but at the same time, very soft and gentle.
To understand Sonja's secret sauce, we need to go back to the very beginning.
My dad was a sharecropper. My mom was a housekeeper, and she had a 3rd grade education. My dad had a 2nd grade education. And what I realize now, back then, education wasn't a big deal. So they had 12 children. And so by the time my mother got to me, my dad wasn't around. And so growing up, it was, I would say it was tough if you look back at it now, but it wasn't per se then because that's all I knew.
All of the siblings that still lived at home when Sonja was growing up were brothers.
It was just, that's all I knew. It was boys around all the time. I was dating a boy. Like, I'll be honest, I had a young man in my life from the age of 13, right? I remember at some people these days are having conversations about going to college and having a family and building a business. The conversation my mother had at the table is stay away from boys. I did exactly what she said not to do. I was around young men, and she was like, you better not get pregnant. Guess what I did? I got pregnant.
Sonja became a mom at the age of 15.
I was very upset at my mom for many years because she gave me a little bit too much freedom, and I wanted her to be around, but she was doing the best that she could, raising children. Then she had me, and then she was working even harder, single family household at that time. But I'm grateful for my mother being there to help me through that process, because I know I wouldn't be where I am today. My mother had told me numerous times, you cannot be like me. You will not be a housekeeper. And I'm like, well, I don't want to leave home. I got a son. She said, I'll take care of him, but I need you to get out of here. She said, I know you made a mistake. However, you don't get to stay there. And so what's next for you?
One thing could always soothe Sonja when life got tough. Basketball.
Basketball was my thing. If I could just get on a basketball court, in my mind, all my troubles went away. A ball in my hand, I had no worries, but once it was gone, that was it. And so that young age of 15, and then here I go again at 17, 2 years later. I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, went out with some friends. I'll never forget that day. It was a Saturday night because I was supposed to go to church on Sunday. And my mother always said, if you go out, you better be home for church. And I was like, yes, ma'am. I went out, but I didn't come back home. They had to pick me up from the hospital because I was with some friends, got in the wrong car with the wrong person, and he took me to an open field and raped me repeatedly and left me there for dead.
Sonja survived and got away.
Got to a neighbor's house, and it happened to be a police officer. Nobody else opened their door but the wife of a cop, and they got me to the hospital. And I think back to it now, it's like it just went to a black, dark place. Because at that moment, you took advantage of me, and now I'm trying to figure out who I am as a young woman. I'm a mom. I'm just looking at my life like, what is going on here? Is this all I have?
Moments like that one, when everything you know to be true or safe or sacred is shattered and your whole world shifts. Those moments don't define us. It's what we do with them that makes all the difference. It would be some years and some more dark times before Sonja turned her pain into purpose. First, with her mother's persistence, she went to college on a basketball scholarship.
It was a Christian college. And so I learned a thing while I was there. And one of the biggest things that I learned was forgiveness. I'm like, this forgiveness, no, I'm not forgiving anybody. If you hurt me, you hurt me. And I just remember going through that season. I was probably my third year in college. I came home for the summer. I had my mom's car. I was going to see some friends. It was the middle of the day on a Saturday. And I pull up to the gas station to pump some gas. And I look over to my right.
Sonja immediately recognized the car, the one from that life-altering night a few years earlier.
And then I recognized him because he was coming out of the store, and I was like, and I just freaked out. I'm like, okay, I just start crying. I'm like, okay, I'm getting emotional because I really haven't I talk about it, but I haven't really publicly said it. And I just remember him walking, and he looks up at me, and he recognized me. And he's like, okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm just tears everywhere. And I remember walking toward him. He's like, hey, it's okay, I'm so sorry. And I said, no, I just want you to know I forgive you. Even though back then I wanted you dead, but today I forgive you. And I walked away. I took the pump out of the car and I drove off. And I felt like somebody lifted the train, the house, the car, the bus off of my back. And when they say forgiveness is not for other people, it's for you, I felt that at that very moment when I said, I forgive you. And I really meant it because I couldn't keep living my life. At this time, I'm probably 20 years old. And I had to forgive him because if not, I would not have been able to go on and move on with my life.
Moving on with her life meant fulfilling a promise she'd made to herself as a child, staring up at that sign in front of her house.
My mom had this small home, and on the doors it had "Be all you can be." Back in the day, it was "Be all you can be, go Army." And I remember like, what is this? And she said, oh, you don't realize that some of your siblings, your brothers and sisters were in the military, and there's a couple that are active duty now. Really? I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, because I am not staying in this small town. I'm not going to be in a factory. And I said, my goal was I'm going to go 4 years of college, and then I'm going to join.
She knew she wanted to go into the military, but she thought maybe the Air Force or Marines.
But I remember when I was a senior in college, and I went to the recruiter's office one day. I'm like, I'm going to go do it now. I'm preparing for it. And I went to the Marine office. They were on lunch. And I said, on lunch? What are you talking about? I'm ready to do this now. I'm ready to sign up. And then I went over to the Army. They were there. And I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And when I retired as a major in the United States Army after 21 years.
To see Sonja in uniform, head on over to our Instagram @Gratitudeology.
Yeah.
What is a day in the life of somebody in the military?
They have this saying, we do more before 9 o'clock than most people do all day. That's real because, as a mom, I was a mom and a wife while I was active duty military at one point. And you're up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, getting the kids ready for daycare. You're gone and you have to be in formation at 6 o'clock a.m. So it's dark outside, street lights are still on, and you're standing in formation getting ready for your physical training. It's mandatory. You're doing that. You're done by 7:30. You go take a shower, and you have to be in the office by 9. That's why they say we do more before 9 than most people do all day. Mm-hmm. You're doing that. You're going to meetings and training and preparing for what's happening in the world right now. What is the president saying for us to do? Where is the next war? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And you're becoming a master at the craft what you've been trained to do, right? And so you're just thinking, and no one's ever asked me that question, so thank you for asking. What do I do all day? I am becoming a master at what I've been trained to do, and I'm preparing for the worst. And so when you get that call, hey, you got 24 hours, you have 5 weeks, or you have 2 months, we're leaving. I'm a mom. I got to make sure I have daycare permanently while I'm gone. I got to make sure everything is taken care of. And you got to help your family understand, hey, you may not be able to reach me when you want. I can't necessarily possibly tell you where I am. And you're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just in case something happens.
Well, it sounds like it prepared you for what you teach people today in life, which is mastering your craft, preparing for the worst, and preparing to be your best.
That's good.
Right?
Yes.
So I would imagine the Army beat you down and also built you up. Right?
I love how you said that. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. From the moment you get off the bus. Can you imagine? Someone says, get on this bus. We're about to change your life. When you get off, we're going to take you through 90 days of training to change from where you are right now to being the most disciplined, intentional human being and leader that's out there. And you're like, what does that look like? Can you follow instructions while somebody's yelling at you? Can you compose yourself and your emotions and learning how to think under pressure? It's a game changer. Mm-hmm. It starts as soon as you get off the bus and you say, I'm here, I'm ready. But it was a change for me. No, it was a shift, and the best shift, because it gave me the opportunity to physically fight, number one. Be legally fight, not physically, but legally fight, because the training that you go through, the combat training, from weaponry to land nav and to navigating your way, not just in the military, through lands of places you've never been, day and night. It's a game changer, and it has been, especially for women. There were not a lot of women in the military, especially not a lot that were senior at that time, but just being there has just changed. It helped me look at my life totally different, and it gave me, and I say jokingly, legally the opportunity to fight, but it gave me the opportunity to stand up for myself and then begin to lead other people. It happened so naturally for me.
Now, Sonja speaks very fondly of her long, successful career in the military. But of course, it's a tough job. And I've heard her say she went to war 3 times. Her body came back all 3 times, but that last time, not so much with her mind.
I went to Iraq. I remember I was there 15 months, consecutive months. Just imagine being away from your family. And the job that I had at that time, I was a a battle captain. And the battle captain was responsible for reporting accountability of all the people that were in our FOB area of operation. And I was responsible for tracking KIA, which is killed in action, missing in action, and all of that, civilians and military, all branches. And you don't know what you don't know until you're in it. And it was just intense all the time. You are wondering, you hear a noise, the ground is shaking, you know you've just been bombed, the lights are out, people are yelling, they're screaming, okay, we got to get in the bunkers. It was just a lot. It was intense. Yeah. And just knowing if there was a KIA or a missing in action, we call it a blackout. Mm-hmm. A blackout is when they just turn all the power off, no internet, none of that. You can't call out because of the thought that somebody's going to call back home and let a family member know that they just lost their loved one, their child or their daughter. And we didn't get the opportunity to properly account for that person. And so that was stressful. And the soldiers that I had working for me, it was stressful. It was a lot. And you're trying to care for them and then have self-care. And honestly, as a senior leader, it wasn't a lot of training around that. So I had to navigate my way through that. So when I went home, my body physically went home. But emotionally and spiritually, mentally, I didn't. Like, it was just like I died there. Mm-hmm. So when I got back, I'm getting emotional on this. Yeah. When I got back home, it was like certain noises, things were happening around me, and I had to acclimate back to the life that I was supposed to be in. And it took me a while. Thank goodness for therapy. Thank goodness that I went to the next job where I had doctors and nurses I was their supervisor, because we were caring for the people that came back from Iraq. And I had them right there where I can have conversations like, hey, I have anxiety. I'm having immense anxiety all the time. I would have anxiety attacks. It started one every 2 weeks. Then it went to every week. Then it went to every day. Then it went to 2 and 3 times a day. That was a lot to handle and deal with.
She retired after 21 years of service. Her husband of 18 years was also returning from active duty. It was not a happy reunion.
I had survived a true battlefield. And now I had a battlefield in my household, and I was like, I can't do this. And so he walked away, he said he didn't want to be married anymore. I said, okay. I filed for divorce, and we went through 3 years of battling who gets what. Same time I'm dealing with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm learning that I have a traumatic brain injury, some things that happened in Iraq. And I'm just trying to deal with everything.
Everything. PTSD, a messy divorce, becoming a single mom again, and depression.
I just knew I just didn't want to be here. It was just darkness, and I was taking medication to wake up in the morning, to function during the day, and to go to sleep at night. It was just too deep, too dark. 6 months, I'm in the house. I don't go outside unless I have to pick my son up from school. And I went through that for a few years, and I said, I can't do this anymore. And that's when I decided, I was like, hey, I just let it in. I can't go through this. But where the gratefulness came in is because, one, I recognized something wasn't right. I got the much needed help that I needed, or that had to happen. And just really getting to a place where, okay, this can't be the way it is for the rest of my life. There's a such thing as a new normal, but I couldn't let the deep depression be the new normal. So just walking through that process of, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I don't want to die. I don't want my children to find my lifeless body, and I don't want that to be my story. So my prayer was, Lord, don't let me live like this. I can't continue this way. And I'm like, please don't leave me here like this. I've been through too much.
Then Sonja turned inward and asked herself the same question her mom had forced her to face all those years earlier. What's next for you?
I figured out what was my turning point. It was that day when I said, okay, what's going to be different? I got to make some decisions. What is that going to look like? And that turning point was, okay, can I help somebody else get through this? So I took the focus off of woe is me, and I'm not criticizing anybody. I took the point, it was on me the whole time, that pity party that I had, the woe is me. And I said, okay, I don't want my worst enemy to go through this. So what can I do to help her or him? And I started focusing on them. And I began to feel this shift and this change. It was like dead skin falling off my body, literally. And it began to change. because I was focusing on other people and I didn't want them to go through it. And slowly but surely, I began to come out of that. While I was dealing with it, I was helping other people, and I didn't know that was going to help me more than anything. There is a grace in what I believe that happens to those of us who not just are resilient, but endure a thing. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but I also wouldn't change anything that I've ever gone through because it helped me become who I am today. From the military to the things that happened to me in my childhood, and learning how to be the leader within myself in order for me to help other people.
Helping others is such a productive way to get out of that deep, dark hole. I learned it in 12-step recovery when I got sober. Sonja learned it through conversations with God and her newfound self.
And so just finding her, when I met her, I'm like, I'm so glad you're here. Girl, where have you been? Mm-hmm. We got some things to do. And so now I just take I take every opportunity to share with someone, not just my story, but what did I learn from that, right? What did I learn from all of what I've been through? That's why I say take your life experiences and your knowledge to help someone else.
And so Sonja began a new career.
I wasn't even thinking about a business. I just wanted to coach people to their next level. I became a mentor for others. And guess where I started? I became a divorce coach. I started in a place that I believe I was hurt the most. And I didn't want any other woman or even a man to go through that hurtful place because I hadn't been there. And you talk to people and they've been married 50 years. This is what you do. You have no idea what to do because you've never experienced it. And so I went on that journey of just, how do I do this? I got mentor after mentor, and the more I grew, the bigger the mentor or the training got, right? I invested more. I fell in love with investing in myself because I knew I was onto something.
$28 million in just 3 years worth of something.
Some folks don't believe it. And I was like, I can show you exactly what I did. I just took my life experiences and my knowledge to build a business. I became a speaker. Speaking all over the world on these large platforms, helping other people, not just motivate them, but help them take action in their life. Then I wrote a couple of books, and I just finished the book From the Battlefield to the Boardroom. And it's not just my military experience, it's what is your battlefield? My battlefield was my young adulthood, being a mom, being raped and all of that. But my boardroom is where I made the decision where success is going to be for me. My success is not like everybody else's, and I don't define success like everyone else. So when you go from your battlefield to your boardroom, it just changes the game. A matter of fact, it didn't only just change the game, it changed my entire life and my livelihood, not just for me. I have this thing that I say, if you didn't come from a wealthy family, let a wealthy family come from you. I came from absolutely nothing, but I vowed that my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren will not come from anything if I have anything to do with it. I owe that to them.
And I heard you say that the one reason that most people don't make $1 million, start a business, is
excuses.
There you go, excuses.
We all got them. Especially when I talk to women, I say, you know, what's the biggest thing why women are not building their businesses and all of that? And everybody shares. I said, excuses. We have more excuses than we have shoes. And I got some shoes. I'm sure you probably got some shoes too.
I got some shoes,
we have some shoes. And they all laugh. I said, but it's real. No more excuses. You know, where we came from, there's no excuses. Well, I came from this. You don't know my story, as you said. Yeah. You don't know what I've been through. It doesn't matter where you've been through. What counts is where you're going to go from here. You have to make a decision what's next for you. And it cannot be where you are right now. At least I hope it's not.
Sonja is a gifted speaker who consistently motivates large audiences. And still, she says some of her most important talks are to herself.
What you tell yourself, whatever you tell your brain and your mind, it is true. Because it doesn't know the difference between the truth and the lie. Being in the room like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve to be here. And I started thinking, wait. Yes, I do. So it wasn't that someone else had to be in my ear and tell me a thing. I always say, the voice that speaks the loudest wins. What voice are you going to listen to? Is that little me voice and you're not good enough, you need to go back to school, you're not educated enough? Or is it going to be the voice of, I know I haven't done those things, but I do have this experience. Let me bring that to the table. And so my vocabulary has changed. The negativity has changed. And I was negative at the beginning. Like, I can't do this. That's stupid. Who's going to do that? $1 million? Money's not. I even said the thing, money's not everything. What? Yes, it is. And I don't mean in a bad way. There's some things we want to do for our family. There's some charities we want to donate to. There's some things, and money, let's be real, it does make the world go round. It's not just for shopping, nice shoes and clothes and jewelry. It was more of who can I help? What church is in trouble right now during the pandemic that I can write a check out to? Who's about to lose their business? What can I do? That in itself just changed it. So it wasn't just for my family, it was for other people that I could help and serve along the way. And all I did was figure out how to speak on stages. All I did was figure out how to take my thoughts and put it in a book on paper. All I did was create a community and an organization where I can bring people into a room virtually or live and in person and teach them what I know over the last 7-10 years, military career, 21 years. I don't know everything, Jamie. I don't. But I know how to help people get paid and change their financial trajectory.
Building generational wealth and prosperity is a constant motivator for Sonja.
I'm 53 years old as we film this. I have 4 sons, a bonus son, which is the 4th one. And 2 of my sons are engaged or about to get married. And I'm thinking about the children that they're going to give life to. And what do I want them to know about our family? Yaya is going to be my grandma name. Yaya. Yaya paved the way. So they don't have to chop cotton like I did as a child. They don't have to be a housekeeper. They don't have to do those things. I'm going to show them the world, but I'm not going to give that to them. And so just paving that forward and just being grateful. Gratefulness is something that if we do more of it, I believe we'll start to appreciate where we are, because life happens not to us, but it happens for us.
Dr. Sonja Stribling, thank you so much for being here and showing us that we have everything we need for success. We just need to find it within ourselves. For more, check out the books From the Battlefield to the Boardroom and The Divorce That Saved My Life. And of course, you can follow her on Instagram at I am Dr. Sonja. That's all for today. Remember, if you like what you heard, if it impacted you in any way, and if you think it's a message other people in your life might like to hear, I'd be so grateful if you'd give me 5 stars, leave a quick little comment. Those things really help. And share this podcast with your friends, either on social media or just word of mouth. I'm on a mission for us all to help each other focus on expanding our attention towards what's good in the world rather than focusing on what's bad, one person at a time. If we all did that, even to our own little sphere of influence, the world has the potential to be a much more radically awesome place. Stick with me, friends. I've got your back. We're in this together, and it's a great day to see the greatness in the day. See you next time. The Gratitudeology podcast is written, executive produced, and hosted by me, Jamie Hess. Sound design and studio production by Gotham Production Studios. Our theme song is Maze by Hills, sung by Nadia Ali. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Gratitudeology.
I'll be right here waiting till you find